All right, when people think of July in the football world, you probably picture one thing, right? Heavy-legged players running endless laps and, well, totally meaningless friendlies. But honestly, that barely scratches the surface. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to completely dismantle that myth. Behind the closed doors of these elite training grounds, clubs are doing so much more than just breaking a sweat. They're literally laying the absolute foundation for everything that's going to happen over the next 10 months.
Okay, let's dive into this, because there is a massive disconnect between what fans see and the club's reality. Side A, that's the illusion, the basic old-school boot camp. But Side B is what's really happening. Clubs are actively building an identity, establishing leadership, and protecting millions of dollars worth of talent. The reality of modern football is that championships are not won in July, but they can absolutely be lost there. If you get this period wrong, you are literally spending the rest of the year playing catch-up.
So to truly understand how this all works, we're going to peel back the layers of a club's summer operations one by one. First, we'll look at how it's more than just fitness. Second, building the tactical system. Third, forging culture and competition. Fourth, the business of preseason. And finally, the real scoreboard.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, more than just fitness. Building the engine and managing risk.
Look, professional football requires an extraordinary physical engine. Sure, players return from their summer vacations in excellent shape compared to the average person, but at the absolute highest level, you need an engine that lets you sprint, recover, and repeat those explosive actions hundreds of times a game. And this brilliantly illustrates why summer is the only time to actually build that engine. Just look at a standard in-season week. You have this massive physical output on a Saturday during the match. Sunday is strictly for recovery. Monday you're locked in the film room for video analysis. Tuesday is light prep. Wednesday is tactical work. Thursday you're traveling. And Friday is just a final, super light walkthrough before you do the whole shebang all over again. Once the competitive season starts, coaches literally have zero time to improve a player's baseline physical qualities. So July is the one and only window where sports scientists can physically overload players to build endurance without completely sabotaging their match prep.
But they aren't just running guys into the ground blindly. Just think about the sheer volume of data being monitored here. We're talking sprint speed, heart rate, GPS tracking, training load, the exact quality of their recovery, sleep patterns, and precise levels of muscle fatigue. Every single session produces absolute mountains of data. The goal here isn't to make players tired as some sort of punishment, it's to build a machine that can survive a grueling season. Which brings us to the most delicate, high-stakes balancing act in modern sports: risk management. Think about it for a second. One muscle injury to a star player could cost a club millions of dollars in wages, lost revenue, and completely derail their season objectives. If the sports science department ramps up the workloads too quickly, that injury risk spikes dramatically. But on the flip side, if they keep workloads too low, the players just won't be ready for the high-octane reality of competitive matches. It is a wildly carefully controlled progression.
Moving right along to Section 2, building the tactical system. Chemistry through repetition.
Now that the physical foundation is set, we step into the manager's laboratory. Imagine your club just signed 5 new players. They speak different languages, they learn the game differently, they have totally different habits. Football isn't just 11 guys running around, it is one tightly interconnected system. So you have to ask fundamental questions. When exactly should the striker initiate the press? Where does the winger need to run to open up space? Who covers when the fullback bombs forward on an attack? These movements aren't instinctive, guys. If you rely on pure instinct with 11 strangers on a pitch, the entire system collapses.
And this is exactly why managers value those highly repetitive, behind-closed-doors training sessions way more than the actual televised friendly matches. Chemistry is not magically created under the stadium lights on a Saturday. It is forged through hundreds, literally thousands of mind-numbing repetitions. It's built during countless drills where players learn to understand their teammates' decisions before they even happen. The best teams in the world, they don't just react to the game, they anticipate it.
And this completely subverts what we see on our screens during the summer. On social media, fans will absolutely panic over a 4-1 loss in a friendly. Total meltdown. But behind the scenes, the manager might be totally calm, maybe even happy, because the scoreboard isn't the objective. Maybe they specifically instructed the defenders to never, under any circumstances, clear the ball long because they wanted to test building from the back under severe pressure. They deliberately accept those defensive mistakes because those mistakes are long-term investments in the team's identity. Results in July are temporary, but identity lasts all season.
Which brings us to Section 3, forging culture and competition, the invisible battles.
Let's move from the pitch into the locker room. Psychologically, preseason offers this really rare clean slate
which makes internal competition incredibly fierce. Last year's failures? Gone. Last year's bench warmer could easily become this year's star. Because of this, coaches are evaluating so much more than just raw talent. They are watching everything: attitude, body language, daily professionalism, leadership. Crucially, they are watching exactly how a player reacts immediately after making a mistake. Every single sprint matters. Careers completely alter their trajectory before the first league match is even played.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that winning teams rarely happen by accident. Clubs organize these grueling activities away from the pitch: shared meals, travel, intense training camps, group challenges. And they don't do this just because it's a fun summer camp vibe. They do it because trust cannot be built overnight. When those brutal, high-pressure moments arrive in February or March, the team will have to rely on the relationships they are forming right now. Culture becomes an invisible strength that holds the whole team together when things get tough.
And part of that culture is deeply tied to the manager. Every single coach is entirely different. Some demand constant, suffocating pressing, while others prioritize slow, methodical possession. Some want strict positional discipline, others encourage free-flowing movement. Players have to spend these summer weeks completely decoding not just the tactics, but the manager's personality. How do they correct mistakes? What exactly earns their trust? Understanding these subtle communication details often dictates a player's starting spot much more than just their physical ability.
All right, moving into Section 4, the business of preseason. Time to look at the global marketing campaigns.
So, we've talked about the pitch and the locker room. Let's pivot to the boardroom. The reality of modern football is that it's a massive financial machine, and the summer is when the global marketing campaigns go into absolute overdrive. When you see clubs jetting off on these exhausting global tours to the US, Asia, Australia, or the Middle East, it's not because the manager loves a 14-hour flight. No way. It's to plant a commercial flag. Every open training session attracts huge local media attention. Every signed autograph creates a lifetime supporter in a totally new market. And sponsors gain invaluable global exposure.
Football today is equally a sport and a business, and preseason effortlessly serves both masters. For Europe's biggest clubs, these tours generate absolutely enormous revenue. They grow major commercial partnerships and drive millions in worldwide shirt sales. The financial engine of the club gets fully fueled up before a single competitive ball is even kicked.
Let's bring all these pillars together for our final section, the real scoreboard. Why results don't matter until they absolutely do. We've seen the fitness, the tactics, the culture, and the money. So how should you actually evaluate your team's summer performance? Well, it's time to separate the fake indicators from the real ones. A 5-0 win against a local side doesn't guarantee you a trophy, and a heavy defeat to a rival on a tour definitely doesn't predict relegation. History has proven both of those assumptions wrong time and time again. The real indicators are entirely in the underlying metrics. Is the team's pressing structure actually improving? Are the new signings clearly understanding their roles? Is the squad consistently creating chances? Are their underlying fitness levels demonstrably increasing? The summer is all about preparing to win the meaningful matches months from now, not the friendly today.
When you watch a summer match, you are literally only seeing the final 90 minutes of a massive iceberg. Beneath the surface are thousands of data points, countless hours of video analysis, psychology, business strategy, and culture building. Preseason isn't just a warm-up, it is construction. By the time that very first league whistle blows in August, the most important work, the actual blueprint that dictates the entire year, has already been finished.
So I want to leave you with this thought to chew on. The next time July rolls around and your team gets outplayed and loses a summer friendly, are you going to jump on social media and hit the panic button? Or are you going to look past the scoreboard, analyze the tactical investments being made, and look for the blueprint? Let me know what you think is the most underrated aspect of a club's summer construction in the comments. Thanks for joining this explainer. Keep your eyes on the real indicators, and as always, keep learning.